Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you all are doing well out there. For those of you who have never tuned into us before, my name is Jeremy, and I am super excited to bring you this video today. So some of you may remember the video that we released about 8 or 9 months ago where we talked about our EcoFlow power station that we had set up in our RV to provide power for us when we wanted to get out there and boondock. Well, again, I'm excited to bring you this video today because we've updated that system, and I know that I've kind of mentioned it in a few videos along the way, but we're finally ready to kind of unveil that system and show you what our new capabilities are with it. And then to go along with this, I'll mention that EcoFlow did reach out to me several weeks ago asking if I wanted to take part in their disaster awareness campaign that they've got going on right now. I figured, what the heck, this kind of works out. It's good timing. I'm ready to do this video anyway. So I just wanted to kind of put a plug in there for them, their disaster preparedness campaign. You can go to their website. I'll put the link down below. They got some deals going on during that campaign right now. So head on over there and check out what kind of deals you might be able to get. Now, kind of related to that, the whole reason we got one of these portable power stations, like I said before, was really to allow us to be able to boondock more and longer than we would have been able to with just our regular house batteries that came with the RV. But going back to that whole being prepared for any kind of disaster that comes along, it is nice to have this system in place for those times where we just lose power. Now, something I didn't know, maybe you all did, but the average power outage in the United States lasts for about 7 hours. And I can't imagine that any of us want to be caught with our pants down for a power outage that lasts that long or even longer. So basically what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to kind of review just a little bit about our previous video and what that setup was. We're going to go outside and take a look in our pass-through because that's where I have this set up, and kind of just see what this setup looks like now and what kind of capabilities we can get out of it. And I'm not going to go into the details very deep about the specs on these units. If you want to see that, you can check out our previous video that we released on that. I'll go ahead and put that link down in the comments as well, so you can check out that video when you're done with this one. But I do want to go over just a couple of the key specs so you can kind of get an understanding of what this system looks like overall now that I've given it a little bit of an upgrade. So the backbone to the system that I have is the EcoFlow Delta Pro power station. Now, this is a power station that can provide 3,600 watts or 30 amps of continuous power, and also handle up to 7,200 watts or 60 amps of surge power. Now, there are a lot of other options on this unit, but for me, what I use it for is to power my RV. So we're really just going to talk about in this video that 120 volt side of it. So along with the inverter inside of that box, inside of that power station, we also have 300 amp hours worth of lithium ion battery power. And then if you remember from our last video on this, we also purchased an extra battery pack, which provides an additional 300 amp hours of lithium ion battery power. So that's kind of what our initial setup was. We had one power station and one extra battery pack for basically a total of 3,600 watts of continuous power with 600 amp hours worth of lithium ion battery power, which provided us with a total of just over 7,000 watt hours of power that we could utilize. All right, so now we fast forward to where we're at today, and we didn't do anything like super crazy here. All we really did was we just doubled that capacity. So I bought one more Delta Pro power station and I bought one more extra battery. And then the final piece, or the final component of this, is something that EcoFlow calls their voltage doubler. And basically you can view this thing as a paralleling kit for 2 generators. It just connects to both power stations, and then it provides that 240 volt split phase output that I need to connect to both sides of the electrical system in this RV. So essentially what I'm saying is when I'm connected up to these power stations, it's pretty much like connecting up to a shore power pedestal with that split phase output, but then we're just going to be limited to 30 amps per side. But although I am limited to that 30 amps of power on each side of the RV, these power stations will still allow me to run all 3 of my air conditioning units at the same time if I want to. All right, so that's kind of where we're headed with this video. So the next thing I want to do is just kind of take you guys outside. We're going to crawl inside of the pass-through, and I'm going to show you what I got going on in there. So let's head out there. All right guys, so here we are down here in the pass-through. This is where I've got all of my units set up. And as you can see, I'm easily able to fit all 4 of these units in here. Now I will say that one of the reasons that we bought this specific RV is because it has so much storage. I'll tell you that if I had these 4 units right here in the pass-through of our previous RV, it would have taken up basically the entire pass-through, and I really wouldn't have had room for anything else. All right, so before I show you kind of what this looks like and kind of get into exactly what our capabilities are with this system, I just want to revisit just a few of the reasons that we decided to go with this power station setup instead of, say, a more traditional solar setup or even a permanently installed generator. So the first reason really is that these things are super portable, right? Now I'll be the first to admit they're not light. I think the power station itself weighs right around 90 pounds, and then the battery pack weighs right about 80 pounds. But you can see they give you some nice big handles here on either side, and I load these normally in and out of here by myself, but if you have one other person that can give you a hand, these things are a breeze to get loaded in and out of wherever you need to have them. And then the second reason we really like this setup, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that they're portable, is that they're super easy to install. Or what I mean by that is there really is no installation as far as just getting these things into your RV. Now when you talk about a traditional solar system, there are a lot of pieces and parts that go along with that, right? You've got the charge controller, you've got the inverter, the battery monitoring system, all these little pieces and parts, plus you have the batteries, and you have to figure out where to put all those things and where to mount them. It's just a lot of different components that you got to figure out what to do with. Now as far as the actual installation that I did, it was a little bit more complex than just, you know, putting these things in here and plugging them in. I did install a manual transfer switch to make it easier for us to, you know, just shift back and forth between shore power and our power stations when we need to. You know, if there's a power outage in the middle of a storm, instead of having to go outside and say unplug from a pedestal and then plug into one of these things, we can just simply go to the manual transfer switch and switch right over, and we have power back that quickly. But you know, even the installation of that manual transfer switch really wasn't that difficult, and I actually found a new location for it inside of the RV. If you remember from the last video, I actually had it on the other side of the pass-through here, mounted on the wall, which meant whenever I needed to switch over, you know, if we had a loss of power, I had to run outside and do it. Now we don't even have to open the front door. I'll show you where that's at here in just a few minutes, but that location not only is more convenient in the event that we lose power, but it was just an overall easier location to access and actually get that switch installed. Okay, again, so what we have down here is the 2 power stations themselves and the 2 battery backups, and I want to talk a little bit about what that gets me. So as I said before, each of the power stations has a 3600 watt inverter and 300 watts of lithium-ion battery power. And then I have 2 battery packs, which gives me an additional 300 amp hours of lithium-ion battery power. So that's the whole system. And then if you can just imagine, just cut that right in half. So I have on one side of the electrical system here, I've got 1 power station and 1 battery pack. And then the other side of the distribution system has the other power station with the other battery pack. So in the end, what this allows me to do is to supply each side of the electrical system of this RV with a full 30 amps of power. And then of course the question is always, well, how long is that going to last? You know, I see in the Facebook forums all the time, you know, how much solar power do I need? How many lithium-ion batteries do I need? How big of a generator do I need? And really what that all comes down to is load management and doing kind of a load analysis on your own specific RV to know how much power on average that you use. So for example, I've done a dry run a few times in this rig here, just kind of sitting in the driveway, and you know, in our previous rig I did it several times, and what we found was on average we're using about 300 watts of power. And if we do the quick math on the system that we've got here, it will provide us with just over 14,000 watt hours of power. Now of course that's just sitting here by itself, no solar panels installed, you know, no other way of recharging those batteries. So I'm just kind of looking at the baseline, what I can do with these units even if I don't have any way to charge them. So if we take that 14,000, it's actually about 14,400 watt hours of power, and we divide that by the average of about 300 watts that we think that we can stay below when we're boondocking, that comes out to a full 48 hours that we can boondock without ever even having to recharge these units. Now, obviously, that's not something that we are going to do on a consistent basis. You know, we may boondock overnight where we don't really need to be able to recharge anything, but we're not going to go a significant amount of time without having our solar panels connected or have some other way to recharge these batteries. So let's dive into the solar panel aspect of this. This rig came with one 370 watt solar panel already installed on the roof. However, the really neat thing that they did, or what they've started to do with these Grand Design units, is they're actually installing two solar glands in the roof. And if you're not familiar with what the glands are, it's basically just a connection point for the wiring. So the wires come off of the solar panels themselves, they connect into the gland on the roof, and then on the other side of the gland, inside of the superstructure of the RV, the solar cables are run down to wherever they need to be. In the case of this rig specifically, they were terminated in the front storage area, and I was able to just fairly easily locate those and then reroute them back into the pass-through area where I need them. So again, right now we have that one 370 watt panel on the roof. The short-term plan here is that we're going to get one more 400 watt panel and get it mounted on the roof. And then we'll be able to charge both of these power stations via the solar panels. And then the long-term plan is to add another 400 watt panel to each side. So that means in the end, we'll have about 700 to 800 watts of solar charging capability coming down from the roof. And of course, because Mother Nature is not predictable, we might find ourselves in a situation where we're trying to boondock, but we're not getting a whole lot of sunshine. And that's when our backup generator will come in. We do have a small backup generator. It's just a little Champion 2500 watt dual fuel generator that we use. So in those times when we're kind of in the bind, where we're not seeing much sunshine, I can still recharge using that generator. All right, so let's get a little bit of a closer look at what we've got in here. Of course, we've got the 4 units themselves, and then down on the floor here where you can see that that cable is plugged in, that's the double voltage hub that I was talking about. That gives me that 240 volt split phase output to feed both sides of the RV. And basically all I've done here to connect that up to the RV's electrical system is that I just got a 30 amp generator cord that I cut down to the size that I needed, and then I just put this L1430 plug on it, and that allows me to plug straight into the voltage doubler. And then the other end of that cable is what's wired into the transfer switch. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it up out here. It's a little chilly out here today. You can see I've got my jacket on. I think it's only about 40 degrees. So we're gonna go back inside here, and I'm just gonna show you real quick where I chose to put that manual transfer switch, and I think you'll be able to see why I chose that location, not only to just be able to transfer easily without having to go outside, but also how it was just a really accessible location to get that thing installed. All right, this transfer switch is right inside the front door here. And in most of the models of these 390s that we've seen, this is where the transfer switch for the generator setup normally is. So we opted not to get that generator set up because we knew we were gonna go with these power stations. There wasn't any kind of transfer switch in there that I could make use of. So what I did was I just reused the transfer switch from the previous setup that we have. It's a 60 amp manual transfer switch. And the only real change I made to that setup is, well, number one, the location, but I also bought a bigger box to put that switch in because the original box that I had, there just wasn't a lot of room inside to manipulate those thick, heavy gauge wires that I needed to connect to the switch. All right, so now what we're looking at here is that cabinet is where I installed that switch, and probably the biggest reason that I chose that location again was the ease of access. So I was able to very easily remove that fireplace, and once that fireplace is removed, there's just a huge void back there, and I had full access to the back side of that cabinet. All right, guys, so I think that's gonna wrap it up for this video. I think I got it all covered. Just wanted to, give you guys the update on that system. I know I've been promising it for a little while, and we finally had the opportunity here just in the last week or so to get all of that installed. All right, we hope you guys enjoyed this video as always. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then maybe even more importantly, make sure you hit that bell to make sure that you get notified of all of our future videos. And as always, happy camping and stay safe out there, guys.